ever have conversations with someone and as you're listening to them talk, your inner toddler is just going, nah, 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 I can't hear you because you so don't want to hear what they have to say. But then it's so convicting. Yeah, that's what today's conversation was like on the 10 Minutes to a Better Homeschool podcast. Hi, everyone. I'm Pam Barnhill, and I have helped thousands of homeschoolers beat burnout, create doable systems, and bring more joy to their homeschool days. Welcome to episode 59 of the 10 Minutes to a Better Homeschool podcast. Yep, we are in our third of a series all about keeping your house clean while homeschooling. And today I have pulled out the big guns. I have brought in my friend Mystie Winckler, who is an expert at keeping your house clean when you're a busy homeschool mom and all the things that are wrapped up in that, because it's really more than just buying the right cleaning products and following the right cleaning schedule and finding the right cleaning system. Though I think that's part of it, and that's what we've been talking about the past 2 weeks. But today we are giving you kind of the final big nugget of information you need to bring all of this together. And I warn you, it has the possibility of being really convicting for you. Now, at the end of this conversation, Misty and I are talking about her program, Sweep and Smile. So I'm not going to throw an ad in now. We're going to get right to the podcast, but be sure to listen for information about that program at the end of the podcast because it is a worthy one and I think you should check it out. And now on with the interview. Mystie Winckler and her husband, Matt, are both second-generation homeschoolers living in Idaho. They have 2 homeschool graduates of their own and 3 that are still being educated at home. Misty is the co-host of Scholé Sisters, a podcast for classical homeschooling mamas who want to read, think, and apply for themselves. But she also has a website and podcast called Simply Convivial, where she helps moms beat overwhelm and perfectionism through simple baby steps so that they can love being homemakers. Misty, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Pam, for having me on.
Yeah, having you back because I think you've been on this one before.
Well, I couldn't remember all the podcasts.
I know
like, this name though.
And we have lots of conversations like on different podcasts. So,
yes.
But it's always fun to chat with you. And that's why we keep having you back. Okay. So let's get started talking about like getting your house clean. So, your episode here is the 3rd episode in a series on how do you keep your house clean while homeschooling? Because getting overwhelmed by all the household chores while they're trying to homeschool, this is a problem that I would say like all homeschoolers have. I
hope everyone does.
Yeah. If you figured out the secret, let me know, right? If you figured out the secret to this. Yeah, exactly. Okay. But your approach is a little bit different from everything else that is out there. So and I've talked about this last week about some different approaches that I've used and things that I've found that have worked for me, some different systems that I've found that have worked for me. And you recognize the fact that there are all these systems out there and that we're looking for systems. And I know you love systems.
Yes.
But there's something else that's key that has to kind of go hand in hand or even come before the system. What is it?
It's your attitude.
Oh, it is so much easier to find a system than it is to work on my attitude. That's the wrong answer.
I know. Well, and I hope this is another thing where I'm not the only one, but I know many, many times where I came at the finding a new home cleaning routine system or just say, okay, I'm going to take just this whole day. We're going to maybe take it off of school just so I can tackle the things around the house because I can't have a good attitude until after the house is clean. And that never worked. And I mean, part of that is because the house never really got that clean as I wanted it. So I never achieved that goalpost where I said, after that goalpost, then I can be happy. Then I will apply myself to homeschooling, or then I will feel better about the day, or then my system will work. All these like consequences that I pinned on reaching some state first.
Right.
When it actually started with my attitude and how I thought about my home and how I thought about my job to just to manage home. Let's not say keep it clean, because the house isn't going to stay clean. We actually use it all day long as homeschoolers. And so that's a part of it. When we look at HGTV or the magazines or Pinterest and Instagram and use phrases like keep the house clean, and we see the photographs of clean houses that just stay put, they're static. And that's what we think we're supposed to be doing, is making a house that never gets messy. It stays clean. We keep it clean. And that's just not realistic. So that doesn't help with having a good attitude when our whole definition or idea, the picture that we have in our head, is wrong.
Is wrong. Okay. Okay. Darn it. And as you were talking about this, I was like, even if I got the house clean and did reach that magical unicorn point of cleanliness, how long is it going to stay that way? For like 30 seconds, maybe?
And so what actually happens isn't that we feel happy and better about ourselves after the fact. We end up being upset oftentimes because then it gets messy again. And we feel like that just ruined everything. It was all a waste. And so that's just another attitude piece, that response to real life is our attitude problem that we have to solve first.
Okay. So instead of me asking you for like the biggest tip that moms could use to keep up with their house or keep up with the chores, what is one small change that we can make to shift our attitude about this?
Yeah, one of the ways that I talk about it is by saying that we have to change the story we're telling ourselves, because we are always narrating our life to ourselves in our head. We have a little internal ticker tape or an internal, like newscaster, interpreter saying, oh, this is what's happening. And a lot of times that story that we're repeating to ourselves, or the way that we're telling what we're seeing in our life, is not true.
Mm.
And so the biggest way to change our attitudes is to tell ourselves a true story. So it's not that we make up a brand new story that would make us feel better. We actually first recognize what truth is and then start telling ourselves the truth about our actual situation and the bigger picture truth, because it might be factually true that you just cleaned something and then someone messed it up. But the bigger picture truth is that the home is a place where life is lived. And so if life is being lived there, its purpose is being fulfilled. And a house that doesn't have life in it might stay clean. And is that the actual purpose? So the purpose of cleaning isn't to keep it clean. The purpose of cleaning is to make the house functional for life to be lived there. So it's not about achieving an aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
It's about making it ready for use. And so one of the ways that we talk about this in Simply Convivial is talking about our house as a stage, and we're stage managers. So different situations need different props, and sometimes you have to change the scene, but the house is just the stage. It's not the point. The point is the play that's being lived there, and the props either facilitate that or get in the way of that. And we're the stage manager moving things around. And so that's a kind of truer story to what's actually happening in our home than I'm the maid and no one appreciates me, or my job is to make the house stay beautiful all the time.
Right.
And
right.
Everyone's against me.
Okay. So real quick before we wrap up, I love what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. What about the mom who tells me, and I am this mom. I'm just going to be honest with you. Okay. I've let loose some over the years, but I am this mom who says, I just can't start with all the visual clutter, all the mess around me. I can't function within that mess. So do you have any tips for that mom who's like, I hear what you're saying, Misty. I know I should get my attitude straight. And, you know, it's the play, not the stage, but oh my goodness.
Yeah. Well, there is, when you're the stage manager, there can definitely be a state where the play can't happen because of the state of the stage. And so it's our job. So part of what we're feeling is that we have to step up to our responsibility there as stage manager. And a common temptation that we have as moms, especially homeschooling moms who I think like to be in charge of everything, is I want it all done right away.
Yes.
And all change, including change in our attitudes and change in our home routines, is better. It sticks better if we take it step by step, small steps, and do both at the same time. We should be improving our home routines and telling ourselves a better story. We don't completely fix one and then completely fix the other. We take baby steps in both of them together.
I love that. Okay. So you just segued me right into asking you about your course. You're such a pro. Okay. So you have a course that will actually help us to do this, and it is called Sweep and Smile. And you are about to start running a cohort of this course. So tell us a little bit about Sweep and Smile.
Yes. Sweep and Smile. You can see in the name where we're doing the cleaning and we're organizing our attitude about the cleaning for 6 weeks, going over 6 areas of our home, 1 area per week, and building the daily or weekly habits that will make that area work for our stage. And so it's not where I'm going to tell you the exact routines you're supposed to have, because other people's cleaning lists can't be cut and paste into your life. You have to assess what your family needs, your family's use, the space that you have. And so we have a process that helps you set up a 15-minute morning routine, a 15-minute evening routine, and then 15 or 30 minutes at some other point in the day where you're going to do whatever you figure out your house needs. And those are the routines that will help keep things flowing, the action moving, so that the stuff and the clutter, people aren't tripping over it in the drama of life happening at home.
Right. And while you're setting up all these routines and everything, woven through all of this is the adjustments that we need to make to the attitude to make this stuff actually happen and stick this time, right?
Yeah. Yeah. How you're talking to yourself about these chores and this work, and aligning that story with the truth of our responsibility being a good and wonderful thing. It's not like this is just drudgery work that is unfulfilling and a burden.
Love it. Love it so much. Okay. So we are going to put information about Sweep and Smile, the course, in the blog post for this episode of the podcast. And that'll be at pambarnhill.com/TMBH59. And you can get the link to the course over there. So Misty, thank you so much. Like, yes, it's always so convicting to talk to you. And then I'm like, oh, but she's so right. And I'm just glad that you're there to help people. Because these are hard things. These are like, yeah, it's easy to clean out a junk drawer. Really, it is. Right. But the mindset stuff, the things that you tell yourself, the stories that you tell yourself, that's the stuff that makes the biggest difference. And that's the hardest stuff. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Pam. This is great.
And there you have it. So if you would like information about the Sweep and Smile program, do go check it out at pambarnhill.com/TMBH59. And you can get a link with all of the information over there. So I will be back next week for another episode. And in this episode, we're going to be talking all about transitions in your homeschool day. If you have been homeschooling for any length of time, you know that transitions are one of the places where things can get stuck or go completely off the rails in our homeschool. So I'm going to be back with a few different tips that you can use, some ideas for helping you minimize the chaos that transitions in your day can cause. So I hope you join me for that episode. Until then, keep on homeschooling.